Hi, it's NATO. I just want to do a quick video on here because there's a couple of things I want to discuss. One is something that Jared Kushner calls exfoliation, which is the loss of friendships, some of which are decades old, due to current political support. Him, it's more of a family thing. You're not going to not support your father in law in a business or political venture. It's just dumb. But it's happening for a lot of people. I have been friends with a lot of my friends on Facebook since before Facebook was even around. I worked at a university in the Midwest with international programs, and I have made friends from literally every corner of this planet. I've been able to go to just about any country in the world that I wanted to and spend time there and have a warm bed and a warm meal to eat. And people who have been in the U.S. near where I live, whether it be Iowa or New York or anywhere else I end up being, have had a place where they could come and stay. We've also worked together in helping each other. I had a woman from Ukraine show up at my house one night at 3 in the morning with no passport, $20, no other ID, completely stranded and crying. And the only thing she knew about me was my name and my address she got from her brother, who had never met me, but got it from a friend of his when trying to find out a place where she could go to get help. I've worked with people from all over the world, and I've had friendships that span everywhere. I personally have always thought myself as being a very socially liberal person. I support gay marriage. I don't know why there's an issue with it. I know the biblical problem with it, but in most countries, marriage has become an institutional word that has a lot of other factors associated outside of religion. And to use terms like civil unions, the definition of that could change from state to state, where the term marriage would be the same from state to state. And that's the reason why you need to use the term marriage, because all states would have to recognize what that entails versus the term civil union that each state could decide independently what benefits that person gets and doesn't get. So to make it a much easier thing to deal with, I'm fine with the term marriage. I think gays should be able to serve in the military openly. I don't see what the big deal is. Now, I don't agree with the bathroom thing because they weren't being oppressed. They weren't not allowed to use the facilities. But I could not just choose to go into the women's room because it's closer to me from where I am currently at. And a woman doesn't get to skip the line at the women's facility to go into the men's. Most people can't do that. By granting transgender people and gays that right is giving them something extra, an extra ability or extra thing that everyone else doesn't get to have. That's where I draw the line. Uh, as far as immigration, I welcome people from any country here, and any religion. Now, I don't want people from everywhere to just come here all at once because resources are finite. And also, most people who come here legally, it takes a long time and a lot of money. And from my own family experience, this is a long process and it's very costly and it's very taxing on emotions and all of your resources. And for people to come here illegally and just be able to skip that, that's unfair to everyone who does it the right way. So I have reasons why I support or don't support the positions that I do. It's not blind trust and just, well, because Donald Trump says this, Donald Trump is it. That's I'm just gonna agree with everything that Donald Trump says. I didn't agree with the airstrike on Syria. Part of the problem that the United States has is that since the 1950s, the foreign policy has been let's go destroy everything and try to control it. Doesn't work. But because I support Donald Trump, and I do support him, he is my president. I have been losing a lot of friends on Facebook, people that I have been friends with and very close to for years, people whose weddings I was invited to, people that I used to brag about how I know three people from that country. I thousands of them actually. I only like three of them, and two of them are named. Anyway, because of my position of supporting Donald Trump, no other reason actually, just because I support Donald Trump, that friendship has ended. Now, I know that for some people, the constant political post gets annoying. I understand. I get it too. Um, but it's mostly is in response from other people sending me stuff. And I'm just trying to go back and forth with them. Some people are actually able to have a discussion about it. And a few of my friends, we have found out we were not actually arguing against each other. We were arguing different arguments at the same time. It was kind of awkward once we figured it out. But the fact that people are so quick to throw away friendships that are decades old over political issues it's sad, really. You know, Thomas Jefferson and Madison had a pretty big falling out. They were both presidents of the United States. Um, and don't forget, John Adams also had a big falling out with the both of them. And when Adams and Jefferson finally passed, they passed on the same day. They longed that they had made amends earlier. Since their fallout following the election of 1800, they hadn't seen each other. They started writing back and forth, but they never did get to see each other again. And on their deathbeds, the one thing that they both seemed to imply was that the other one was at least still alive, and that wasn't true. They had both gone on the same day, July 4th. People are throwing away friendships on such trivial matters. You know, my family is Jewish, and people are calling me a Nazi. I had members of my family invade Germany and the Soviet army and literally piss on Adolf Hitler's ashes. And you guys want to call me a Nazi? Really? Get out of here. Losing friendships over this, it bothers me. It does. Not because the person or my friend anymore, for some of them, whatever, fine. But how dense are you, or how single-minded are you that one issue, that one thing will throw away an entire friendship? Especially when there have been times when people that I'm talking about have been stranded, without any resources, homeless, had nowhere to go. Um, who was the person they came to? Me. I fixed a lot of problems for a lot of people. And if they came to me today, I'd be, okay, well, let's sit down and figure out how I can help you, or how we can help yourself, or whatever. But they don't want to be my friend because I support Donald Trump. It's mind-boggling. It's not even the beginnings of something I can wrap my head around over a single issue. Calling me a racist because I think people should come here legally? No. Calling me a racist because I think that um, people should be accountable for their own actions? No. I would like to see everybody in this country, immigrant or born here, to have a better standard of living. That's why I supported Donald Trump. I support Donald Trump because I want everyone to have better jobs. Just raising the minimum wage isn't going to help anything if all the wages above bottom don't go anywhere. All you're going to do is um, cause a lot of people at the bottom to lose their jobs due to budgeting problems, and the people above them having more responsibilities for the same pay as someone who just started their job today. You're disincentivized. That's a hard word to say. The incentive to progress and to work harder and to succeed and get promoted is being diminished because you don't get any more pay, you just get more responsibility. That's not helping anyone. And a lot of people at the bottom, when Seattle and places in Washington went to a $15 minimum, it didn't work out so well. And they had to reevaluate a lot of things. But it doesn't mean I don't support a living wage. It doesn't mean that I don't think that people should get paid more for the work that they do. But most people won't even listen to the arguments or have a discussion. All they want to do is drown out anyone who doesn't agree with them. And it's really sad that I've lost so many friends over this. And this isn't a video I really wanted to make. I wanted to make a video about imagining what Europe would look like in 1975 if everyone in 1946 left. Because that's what's going on in the Middle East right now. After great wars, if everyone leaves, nothing ever gets rebuilt. And usually the only people who stay are the ones who caused the problem in the first place. So anything that does get rebuilt is just going to crumble. But I can't even have that discussion with people. I've always wanted to have discussions about what if and how would this have happened and philosophical discussions. And I used to have that with a lot of my international friends. In fact, one Italian and Croatian that got married and now live in Croatia, we used to go on and on for hours about this stuff. And now there's no more communication, and they can't even give me an answer why. You know, the reason why the United States was able to work is that people who didn't agree on every issue found that there was more they did agree on than what they didn't. The Great Compromise that allowed the Constitution to develop and thus be ratified was because people who didn't agree on some issues found that they had more things they did agree on and went with it. There's so much more we could do to battle hunger and poverty in this country and abroad if we found where we agreed and worked on those areas specifically. And just because we disagreed on something doesn't mean that either side was wrong. And within American politics, that doesn't exist anymore. I've been working in Congress for over a year now, and I've sat down and had coffee with Bernie Sanders and Ted Cruz at the same time, and we had a lot of laughs at everyone's expense. Sorry, Bernie. And Joni Ernst, the senator from Iowa, and Kirsten Gillibrand, a very liberal senator from New York, are best friends. They hang out all the time, but they don't agree with how you run the government. This isn't just a Trump thing. This isn't because of Trump. This isn't because Trump started it. He didn't he didn't make things necessarily better all the time, but this behavior, this attitude, it begins with the people, not the leaders. And if we don't start learning how to communicate about the things that bother us in our society, like racism, is there racism or is there not racism? I'm not going into that here. Are there problems in black communities? Yes. And they drastically need to be dealt with, and these people need to be given tools to succeed. Not given free stuff, but the tools to actually be better people as far as being able to have a better life. They're so smart. In fact, if black people were able to really get some traction, they'd be one of the most dominating forces of economic prosperity in this country. South side of Chicago has a $9 billion black market traded in Tide laundry detergent, menthol cigarettes, and other random things that they use for money because they don't actually have enough money in the area to buy and sell things. It's I want them to have a better life. I want the people from different countries that live here currently legally. I want them to have a better life. That's why they came here in the first place. I want people in Iowa and Nebraska and Florida and Vermont and New York all to have a better life. We want the people, our children, to have a better life than we did. And what we're doing isn't doing that. I support Donald Trump because I wanted everyone to have a better life. I don't want blacks to be worse off. I want blacks to be better off. I don't want all the Hispanic people to go home. I want this to be their home, but I don't want their homes to be safe. I don't want them to be preyed upon by criminal elements that come into this country to only do harm. Understand that living in Brooklyn, there's a large Russian community here. And when the wall came down and the influx of Eastern European people came into Little Odessa, most of the people who preyed upon them, were other people from that area. That's the problem, and there's a criminal element in every aspect of every group of people. The criminals are everywhere: Americans, Mexicans, Canadians, Russians. But the ones that are causing the crimes, which is a small minority, need to be dealt with. We do need to have some better law and order, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about the wall. Not necessarily immigration, but we gotta stop a lot of the drugs that come across there. We also need to work more on drugs that are flown across the border, the ones that are used by boats to get the drugs in here. It's not about immigration. It's about the illegal trade of people, as in sex trafficking, and drugs that are go across our southern border in the United States every day. That's why I support a wall. But like Donald Trump said, there should be big doors because there's a lot of good, hardworking people in Mexico and even south of Mexico that use Mexico to get here that want to work hard and would try to come here legally if there was a real means to do so. So maybe we should work on that. But deleting people off of Facebook because you don't like the other one's political choices, how is that helping anybody? There's no discussion there. There's no exchange of ideas. There's no solutions being brought forth to the table. There's just bitterness and anger. And that's not helping. Now, I keep repeating this because it needs to be told. It's not helping. And this video's gone on long enough. But, I support Donald Trump, and I'm going to vote for him again in 2020. And I'm going to be working on a lot of elections in 2018. I will be supporting both Republicans and a few Democrats, actually, because we need a reasonable opposition party. That's exchange of ideas. You can't have just one party control everything. I mean, as far as every member of every office, you need to have an exchange of ideas, and you need to have an opposition to challenge ideas, not hold everyone hostage. Anyway, uh, this is NATO signing off. Take care of yourselves and don't be so mean to each other. Be nice, be friendly. Peace out.